Some of the most emotionally aware people move quietly online. No selfies, no constant updates, no need to be seen. That silence carries a story most people miss. It is easy to assume this comes from insecurity or a lack of confidence, yet psychology reveals something far more complex. Behind that choice often lives a mind that feels deeply, processes intensely, and protects its inner world with care. An empath is someone who senses emotions at a deeper level than most. They do not just understand how others feel, they absorb it. Every reaction, every comment, every unseen judgment can leave a lasting impact. Social media, which thrives on visibility and attention, can feel overwhelming to such minds. Sharing a photo is never just a simple post. It can feel like opening a door to thousands of emotional impressions at once. This is where behavior begins to shift in a way that many people fail to understand. In this video, you will discover the hidden psychology behind empaths who choose to stay invisible online. You will learn why attention can feel draining instead of rewarding, why privacy becomes a form of emotional protection, and how deep self-awareness shapes their digital behavior. There are also lesser-known insights that rarely get discussed, including how online energy affects emotional balance and why some people feel more exposed through a screen than in real life. These patterns are subtle, yet they reveal a powerful truth about how the human mind adapts to protect itself. This is not about avoiding social media. It is about understanding a different way of existing within it. By the end of this video, you will begin to see that silence online can reflect strength, clarity, and emotional intelligence. You may even recognize these traits within yourself or someone close to you, changing the way you interpret quiet behavior in a world that rewards constant visibility. Stay with this video until the end, because each layer reveals something deeper than the last, and the final insight will shift how you see presence, attention, and self-worth in the digital age. Welcome to our channel, where we explore the hidden sides of human psychology and behavior. Subscribe now and become part of a space where silence speaks louder than noise. For empaths, privacy is not just a preference, it is a form of protection. They experience emotions with a level of depth that many people around them may never fully understand. A simple interaction can stay with them for hours, sometimes even days, because they process feelings more intensely and hold on to emotional details that others might overlook. This sensitivity shapes how they see the world, especially when it comes to sharing parts of their life online. Posting a photo may seem small and effortless to most people, yet for an empath, it can feel like revealing something deeply personal. It is not only about the image itself, it is about the energy, attention, and emotional responses that follow. When a photo is shared, it invites reactions from many different people, each carrying their own thoughts, moods, and judgments. Empaths tend to pick up on these subtle signals even through a screen. A comment, a like, or even the absence of a response can create an emotional ripple that feels stronger than expected. This makes the act of posting feel less like self-expression and more like opening a door to unpredictable emotional input. Because of this, they become very selective about what they share and who gets access to their personal space. Being seen by too many people at once can feel overwhelming. It creates a sense of exposure that goes beyond physical appearance. For an empath, it can feel as though their inner world is being observed, analyzed, and interpreted by strangers or distant connections. This level of visibility does not always bring comfort. Instead, it can lead to a quiet sense of vulnerability that they prefer to avoid. They are often more at ease in smaller, more controlled environments where interactions feel genuine and manageable. Emotional safety holds more value to them than attention or recognition. While many people enjoy the validation that comes from social media engagement, empaths tend to prioritize peace of mind. They are careful with their energy and mindful of where it flows. Protecting their inner balance becomes more important than gaining approval or staying visible. This is why their absence from constant photo sharing does not reflect a lack of confidence, but rather a conscious choice to preserve something they consider far more important. For many empaths, attention does not feel like a reward. It carries weight. While others may enjoy being noticed, appreciated, or admired online, Empaths often experience that same attention in a very different way. It can feel intense, unpredictable, and difficult to manage. Each like, each comment, each reaction adds a layer of emotional input that they quietly absorb. What seems light and positive on the surface can turn into something overwhelming beneath it. Likes and comments rarely bring excitement to them in the way people expect. Instead of feeling validated, they may begin to overthink the meaning behind each response. A short comment can lead to deeper questions. A delayed reaction can create unnecessary thoughts. Even positive feedback can feel like pressure to maintain a certain image or expectation. This takes away the simplicity of sharing and replaces it with a sense of emotional responsibility that they did not ask for. Too much focus from others can quickly become draining. When many people direct their attention toward an empath, it can feel like standing under a spotlight that never turns off. There is a constant awareness of being observed even after the moment has passed. This lingering feeling can slowly exhaust their mental and emotional energy. It becomes harder to relax, harder to feel grounded, and harder to stay connected with themselves. Instead of gaining energy from attention, they often lose it. This is why empaths naturally move away from situations that bring unnecessary focus. They are not trying to disappear, they are trying to maintain balance. Their energy feels more stable in quieter spaces where interactions are limited and more meaningful. A deep conversation with one person feels far more fulfilling than 100 surface-level reactions from many. They look for sincerity, depth, and emotional honesty rather than quick bursts of approval. Public validation holds little value when it lacks real connection. Empaths tend to seek understanding rather than recognition. They would rather be truly known by a few people than casually noticed by many. This shapes how they behave online, guiding them towards silence in spaces where attention feels heavy and away from environments that demand constant visibility. Empaths tend to live with a constant sense of self-awareness that quietly shapes their choices, especially in spaces where sharing is easy and instant. Before posting anything, they pause. There is a natural habit of reflecting, questioning, and understanding their own motives. A simple action like uploading a photo turns into an internal conversation. They begin to ask themselves why they feel the need to share it, what it represents, and whether it truly aligns with how they feel inside. This process happens almost automatically, without effort, because their awareness runs deeper than surface-level impulses. That question, why am I posting this, carries more weight than it seems. It pulls their attention inward, forcing them to examine their intentions with honesty. If the answer connects to seeking approval, following trends, or trying to fit into an expectation, it creates discomfort. That discomfort becomes a signal that something is out of alignment. Empaths are highly sensitive to this kind of inner conflict, and they rarely ignore it. Instead of pushing through and posting anyway, they step back and choose silence. This decision does not feel like a loss. It feels like staying true to themselves. There is also a strong resistance to presenting a version of life that feels incomplete or altered. Social media often encourages people to share only the best angles, the happiest moments, and the most appealing versions of themselves. For empaths, this can feel disconnected from reality. They are aware of the gap between what is shown and what is real, and that gap makes them uneasy. Sharing something that does not fully reflect their true state of mind can feel like creating a false image, even if it looks harmless to others. Because of this, they avoid curating their lives for the sake of appearance. They do not feel comfortable building an image that needs to be maintained or explained. The idea of being perceived in a way that does not match their inner experience creates tension they would rather avoid. Their self-awareness keeps pulling them back to authenticity, even when that means choosing not to share at all. This depth of reflection makes their online presence quieter, but it also keeps it more honest. Every decision to post or stay silent passes through a filter of intention, emotion, and truth, shaping a behavior that feels grounded rather than reactive. Empaths do not separate the digital world from real emotional experience as easily as others might. For them, a screen does not block energy, it carries it in a quieter but still powerful way. Even though interactions happen through text, images, or reactions, the emotional weight behind them still comes through. A simple comment can hold tone, intention, and feeling that an empath picks up almost instantly. This makes online spaces feel more alive and emotionally active than they appear on the surface. When they scroll or engage, they are not just seeing content, they are sensing it. The mood behind a post, the subtle tension in a comment, or the hidden meaning in a response can all affect how they feel. This constant stream of emotional signals can build up over time. What seems like casual browsing to someone else can turn into an overwhelming experience for an empath, especially when the environment is filled with mixed or intense emotions. It becomes harder to stay detached when everything feels connected on a deeper level. Negative comments carry even more impact. Even if a comment is brief or indirect, it can stay in their mind longer than expected. They may replay the words, trying to understand the intention behind them, or feel the emotional tone long after reading it. Silent judgment can feel just as strong. A lack of response, a change in behavior, or a subtle shift in engagement can create a sense of unease. These small details may go unnoticed by others, yet for an empath, they can feel significant and hard to ignore. Over time, this sensitivity creates a need for protection. Limiting exposure becomes a way to manage emotional balance. It is not about avoiding people, it is about creating space from the constant flow of unseen energy that comes through online interactions. By reducing how much they share and how often they engage, they gain a sense of control over what they absorb. This allows them to stay more grounded and less affected by the emotional noise that often fills digital spaces. For many empaths, the need for external validation fades early because their focus naturally turns inward. They spend a lot of time understanding their own emotions, reflecting on their thoughts, and making sense of their inner world. This constant self-connection builds a quiet sense of confidence that does not rely on outside approval. While social media often runs on likes, comments, and reactions, these signals do not carry the same importance for them. They may notice them, but they do not attach their sense of worth to those numbers or responses. Their self-worth grows from how aligned they feel with themselves rather than how they are perceived by others. When they make a decision, express a thought, or simply exist in a certain way, they look for internal clarity instead of external praise. This creates a different kind of stability. They do not feel the same pull to share moments just to receive validation because that need is already met within. The idea of posting something mainly to gain attention can feel disconnected from their natural way of thinking. Because of this, the act of sharing photos for visibility often feels empty. It lacks depth and meaning from their perspective. They are more interested in authenticity than attention, and when something feels driven by the desire to be noticed, it creates a subtle sense of discomfort. This does not mean they reject all forms of sharing, but they are very selective about the intention behind it. If the purpose does not feel genuine or meaningful, they tend to step back rather than participate. There is also an awareness of how easily validation can become a cycle. They can see how people begin to depend on reactions to feel good, and this pattern does not appeal to them. It feels unstable and temporary. Instead, they prefer a sense of self that remains steady regardless of how others respond. This perspective quietly shapes their behavior, leading them away from constant posting and toward a more private, grounded way of existing where their value is defined from within rather than measured from the outside. Empaths often feel a stronger connection to real-life experiences than to digital ones. Their attention naturally moves toward what is happening in front of them rather than what can be shared later. When they are with someone, they tend to be fully present, noticing small details in tone, expression, and emotion. These moments hold meaning for them because they feel genuine and unfiltered. A quiet conversation, a shared silence, or a simple interaction can carry more value than something that is captured and posted for others to see. Real conversations give them a sense of depth that online interactions rarely match. There is a flow of emotion, a natural rhythm, and a level of understanding that cannot always be translated through a screen. They listen closely, respond thoughtfully, and connect in a way that feels complete. This kind of presence requires attention, and that attention is difficult to divide. Reaching for a phone to take a picture or record a moment can break that connection. It shifts focus away from the experience and turns it into something to be observed later rather than felt fully in the present. Living in the moment becomes more important than documenting it. Empaths often find more comfort in experiencing something as it happens instead of thinking about how it will appear to others. They are aware that once a moment is interrupted for the sake of sharing, something subtle changes. The authenticity of the experience can feel reduced, as if it is being reshaped to fit into a form that others can view. This creates a quiet resistance to capturing everything, especially when the moment itself already feels complete. There is also a sense of respect for genuine experiences. They do not feel the need to present every meaningful moment to an audience. Some experiences feel personal, even when they are simple. Keeping them private allows those moments to remain untouched by outside opinions or reactions. This choice is not about hiding, it is about preserving the feeling as it is. By staying present and limiting interruptions, they maintain a deeper connection to both the moment and the people involved, allowing the experience to exist fully without being divided between reality and presentation. Empaths naturally take on the role of observers in many situations, and this tendency extends into their online behavior as well. Instead of feeling the need to constantly share their own life, they are more drawn to watching, understanding, and quietly analyzing the world around them. This is not done in a detached or distant way. It comes from genuine curiosity and a deep interest in human behavior. When they scroll through social media, they are not just passing time. They are noticing patterns, emotions, and subtle cues in how people express themselves. They pay attention to the way others present their lives, the words they choose, and the feelings that seem to exist beneath the surface. Even a short caption or a simple post can reveal something deeper to an empath. They pick up on inconsistencies, hidden emotions, and unspoken messages that many people overlook. This makes social media feel less like a stage for performance and more like a space for observation and understanding. It becomes an environment where they can study human nature without needing to step into the spotlight themselves. Learning through observation feels more natural to them than learning through expression. By watching others, they gain insights into different personalities, emotional patterns, and ways people seek connection. They begin to understand what drives behavior, what creates distance, and what brings people closer together. This quiet learning process gives them a sense of clarity that does not require active participation. They do not feel the need to share constantly because they are already engaged in a deeper way. Being in the background also allows them to maintain a sense of emotional distance. When they are not the center of attention, they can process what they see without added pressure. There is no need to manage how they are perceived or respond to a large number of reactions. This makes their experience calmer and more controlled. Social media, in this sense, becomes a tool for insight rather than a platform for visibility, where understanding others takes priority over being understood by everyone. At a surface level, silence on social media can easily be misunderstood. It often gets labeled as distance, disinterest, or even a lack of confidence. Yet when viewed through a deeper lens, that same silence begins to reveal something entirely different. What appears quiet from the outside often carries layers of thought, emotion, and awareness within. For an empath, choosing not to share is rarely an absence of expression. It is a form of control over how, when, and where their energy flows. This shift in perspective changes how their behavior is understood. The absence of constant posting is not a sign of holding back. It reflects a deliberate decision to protect something that feels valuable and sensitive. Every moment they choose not to display, every detail they keep private, adds to a sense of inner stability that cannot always be seen. There is depth in that restraint, a quiet strength that comes from knowing that presence does not always need to be visible to be real. The idea that visibility equals confidence does not fully apply here. Empaths operate from a different emotional framework where awareness and sensitivity guide their actions. They understand how easily energy can be influenced, how quickly emotions can shift, and how exposure can affect their inner state. Because of this, their silence becomes intentional. It allows them to stay grounded without being pulled in multiple directions by external input. This behavior holds a form of emotional intelligence that is often overlooked. It involves recognizing personal limits, understanding emotional impact, and making choices that support long-term balance. Instead of reacting to the pressure of constant sharing, they respond to their own internal needs. This creates a sense of control that protects them from unnecessary emotional strain. There is also a protective layer within this silence. By limiting what they share, they reduce the chances of being misunderstood, judged, or emotionally affected by reactions that may not align with their true intentions. It allows them to exist without constantly filtering themselves through the expectations of others. In this way, their quiet presence becomes a space where depth, awareness, and self-protection exist together without needing to be explained. Choosing not to post photos on social media can seem quiet from the outside, but there is often a deeper meaning behind it. For empaths, this choice reflects awareness, intention, and a strong connection with their inner world. It is not about hiding or avoiding attention. It is about understanding what feels right and protecting emotional balance. While the digital space encourages constant visibility, some people find clarity in stepping back, observing more, and sharing less. This behavior reveals a different kind of strength, one that comes from knowing yourself rather than proving yourself to others. There is a quiet depth in people who do not feel the need to show everything. They move through life with a sense of presence that does not rely on being seen all the time. Their silence carries thought, emotion, and intention that often goes unnoticed. When you begin to see it from this perspective, it changes how you interpret absence online. It becomes less about what is missing and more about what is being protected. Do you relate to this way of thinking or know someone who does? Share your thoughts in the comments and be part of the conversation. If this video helped you see things differently, take a moment to like it and subscribe to our channel for more insights into human behavior and psychology.